It's interesting that you can be prime minister and not have to follow the ethics rules, but that's the position that Mark Carney may soon find himself in. Hello, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. And look, everyone is guessing that Mark Carney is going to be the next Liberal leader of Canada and therefore the next prime minister of Canada. Don't you have to follow ethics issues? What investments does Mark Carney have? Does he still have shares from some of the boards he sat on? These are questions the Conservatives are raising, and Mark Carney is dutifully ignoring. Conservative MP Michelle Rempel Garner joins me now from her office in Ottawa. Michelle, you were out trying to get people talking about this. What is the actual complaint that Mark Carney won't say anything, or that the rules don't apply to him, or is it both?
It's a wild situation. So, as you just said, we could be in this unique situation if Carney does win the leadership, like you said, and it looks like he's going to on March the 9th, where Canada has a prime minister that's never held public office and he's not elected, which means that he could take advantage of a loophole in the federal ethics disclosure rules. So I'm elected. Anybody who's in the Liberal caucus is elected and would be subject to these rules that require us to disclose certain financial interests so that the public can judge if we have conflicts of interest on certain
So I
files.
can I can be nosy and go look at where you've got a mortgage,
100%.
where you've placed investments. I mean, it was of note when Francois Philippe Champagne was our foreign affairs minister that he had a mortgage with a bank owned by the government of China.
Wow, as one does, I
So I
guess.
mean, he had to get rid of that quickly once it came out. I mean, there's times where yeah, it's going to be a conflict of interest. That's why we have the rules, right?
Exactly. And like I fully support these rules. And I absolutely think that the public should have an understanding of when somebody is elected and in a senior public policy role, like the prime minister, what their financial interests are to understand if they're making decisions based on the Canadian people or based on their own self-interest. Now, in the case of Carney, there's so many companies that he's held these senior positions on. Brookfield, he was the chair of the board. It's a multi-billion dollar everything company. But the company that I was focusing on today is a payments processor company called Stripe. And I guarantee you, anybody listening to this segment today would have encountered Stripe in one way, shape, or form.
Well,
He
you
was
may
on the
not
board.
know it. Like, look, I live in the online world. I've got a Stripe account
You
because
do.
it sends the payments to me from various things, or it sends my payments to others. But most people don't have a direct Stripe account, but they will have used it through, going shopping and tapping on a debit
Right.
machine or a credit card machine.
And this company is so big that it's actually been valuated at anywhere between, I think, $65 billion and $80 billion. And he sat on its board of directors. Now, when you sit on a board of directors, you typically have these, sort of complex compensation packages that can include things like stock options or other financial instruments that if the company does well, you personally do well. So my question to Carney on this company is, does he hold any financial instruments as a result of being on the board of directors?
Well, is
Does he
Stripe
still hold them?
Stripe could be going through an initial public offering, an IPO. Um,
Yes.
if he's got those shares, and I've seen valuations as high as 85 billion US, he could end up becoming very wealthy. Not that there's anything
Major
wrong with
bank.
that, but he also is going to be in the government. You're supposed to have your Paul Martin was a very wealthy man. All of his investments were in a blind trust while he was prime minister. Carney won't have to follow those rules, will he?
Well, that's what he's saying. He's saying, well, I'm not subject to these rules, but somebody who's seeking to lead the country should be living above the letter of a law, particularly in a situation where the law didn't anticipate and living to the spirit of the law. Now, on Stripe, there's another catch, right? Because Stripe's been embroiled in this controversy where the government struck a deal with Visa and MasterCards to lower a certain type of fee that small businesses pay when they use Visa and MasterCard. But Stripe, as a middleman, made a very controversial decision to not pass that savings along to small businesses. And a lot of people, including the Canadian Federation for Independent Business, have taken issue with this. So my
And so
question is,
just
go
to
ahead.
lay that out for folks, um, I've got a store, you pay with your MasterCard. MasterCard has lowered the fee, but I'm using Stripe to process the payment. They're still keeping the difference.
Exactly. They're pocketing the difference instead of passing it along to
They
Canadian
did that
small
while Carney was
businesses.
on the board because that was not done in the last week or two.
And you know, you'd think now at a time where Canadian political leaders should be looking for advantages to ensure that small businesses succeed, particularly in the light of potential American tariffs. Why has Mark Carney been so silent on this issue? Chrystia Freeland, before Christmas, said that she was going to mandate companies like Stripe to pass these savings along. But why is
Then
Mark
she
Carney
stopped
being
being finance minister.
Yes, so Brian, why would Mark Carney be silent on this issue, and why would he refuse to disclose his potential interest in this company? I wonder. So it's just like it's kind of crap, right? Like this guy is seeking to lead the country. He should be coming clean on issues like this. And if he's got nothing to hide, then sunshine is the
Yeah,
best disinfectant. Giddy up.
maybe he has nothing to hide, and maybe he's 100% pure as the driven snow. But as you say, live to the letter of the law, or the spirit of the law, even if you don't have to live to the letter. Um, it's amazing to me, though, that media outlets are not picking up on this, and they're also not pushing Carney on a lot of issues. He does not get difficult questions when he
Mm-mm.
does deign to speak to Canadian media, as opposed to going on Anthony Scaramucci's podcast or speaking to the BBC or CNN as a European. He doesn't get these questions.
No, he doesn't. It's actually been shocking to me how little, sort of the certain players in the legacy media have refused to vet this man who has never held public office and is just about to be coronated by a small group of insiders as potentially as the Prime Minister of Canada. So at the very least, it would seem like the very least this uber wealthy, uber connected globalist elitist, using his own words, could do is disclose his potentially super lucrative interests in a multi-billion-dollar company that's rumored to go public, which could, depending on whether he holds these assets or not, result in a major payday for him,
At
particularly
a,
when
at
he
a
has
time
the.
when that company is fighting the government of Canada on
They
public
are.
policy.
Exactly. And again, like they were fighting, as you said, public policy with the government of Canada, while Carney, who was on its board of directors, was a senior advisor to the Liberal government. And just like this is the sort of thing that average Canadians who like are literally going to the grocery store tonight and can't figure out, how they're going to buy a bag of groceries or would look at and go, come on. We don't need someone like you making our lives worse. So he has a duty to the public, I think, to disclose his assets.
Well, we'll put it to the public, see what they say. Michelle Rempel Garner, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. What do you think of what Mark Carney is doing, or in this case, not doing? And make sure you subscribe to our channel.